Torah guardian, speaking the absolute truth. Torah nation.
Shalom, 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 Yasharal and Yahudah, grafted in Gentiles into the body of Mashiach. Listen, we be at this. We be at this. Again, I know that ain't proper grammar. We be at this. Yahuah has called me to cry loud and to spare not, to lift up my voice like a trumpet in Zion, to warn Yasharal and Yahudah, to warn the grafted in Gentiles, to warn those that are under the sound of my voice that they must be born again. It's critical. It's not something that's subject to interpretation. It's critical. You must be born again of the water and of the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. You must understand this, right? Because this has everything to do with him occupying your temple, him tabernacling with you. Yahuah, in the name of Yahushua Mashiach, I give you praise right now. I thank you on this, your day. I praise you. Yahuah, in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, I pray that you would take the reins of my lips and the reins of my tongue and reign. Yahuah, I pray right now in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach that the Ruach, which you said would be in my belly and would come up flowing rivers of living water. I pray that this Ruach word that you have put in my belly, that you have told me to open my mouth and declare, would come forth in power. And it would not cause anyone to stumble, anyone to be turned out of the way, anyone to come up lame. Yahuah, this is about a temple that you have dedicated unto yourself. This dedication brought the process of restoration. This dedication restored us to you, to your kingdom. Yahuah, I give you praise right now for the dedication of this temple through the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach. Yahuah, I give you praise. Yahuah, I pray that everyone who are under the sound of my voice, that your word would be a lamp to them, that it would be a light unto them, that it would give them understanding and clarity. The Ruach Ha'Qodesh, Yahuah, I pray that you would establish your people in this your Torah, in this your Besorah. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, Yahuah, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight. Yahuah, my strength and my redeemer, listening to none other than Hezekiah. The song is titled Feast of Dedication, and I don't own the rights to this music. We are in the dedication of the nation of Yasharal. We are in the dedication of this time, this feast, this festival. We are in dedication. We are understanding, right, that this dedicated temple was brought forth at all cost. Men sacrificed their lives during the time of Yahudah Maccabees. They sacrificed their lives for the law of Yahuah, for the Torah of Yahuah, for the Torah, the Temple of Yahuah. They executed judgment and righteousness. Listen, we are the Temple of Yahuah. We are the Temple of Yahuah. Yahuah has no desire to reside in buildings. Yahuah wants to take possession, right, of you. He wants to remain, continue, and dwell in you. He wants to abide in you. And listen. That is not to be taken lightly. See, in order for you to be the temple of Yahuah, you must understand that, right? Yahuah has went through great lengths, right? He's come through time in his son Yahushua HaMashiach to provide you a way back to Yasharal and Yahudah, a way back to him through this witness, right? And to the grafted in Gentiles, He has granted you an opportunity to enter into his kingdom, to be a part of his rest. You who never knew him, you who never was familiar or acquainted with him, you who served your own elves. Yahuah had a plan to restore a people. See, Yahuah knew everybody ain't going to receive this witness. He knew that the whole world wouldn't be saved. Listen, if Christianity tell you, you know, if you confess Jesus, then you saved. And you waiting for the rapture. Doctrines of men. This testament, this Torah, this Besorah, points to a plan of Yahuah to establish, to tabernacle in us, to dwell in us, and to eventually bring forth his kingdom to the erects, where Yahusha will dwell as king and priest among the nation. But see, in order to see this, you got to be born again. In order to be the temple of Yahuah, you got to be born again. In order to be the temple of Yahuah, you have to be born again. If you refuse the process, it's a wrap. If you choose to believe that it don't take all that, then it's a wrap. You ain't his. If you choose to cling to the idea that you have the prophets and the Torah, and you don't need the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach, it's a wrap for you. This process of Yahuah coming and tabernacling in you, right, is a process that comes only through the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach. It only comes as a result of being born again of the Yahusha, Yah salvation, not Jesus, the earth pig, not Iesu or not Iesus. None of these qualify. See, and you know what? Yahuah chose a lot of us out of Christendom, right? Because I can't help but to believe that it's because we held to something that was greater than just Christianity. You know, there was something that had to be greater that we weren't really getting. Right? Because, you know, everybody do everything in Jesus' name. Right? In the name of God. Oh, God! Oh, God! Oh, Jesus! Oh, Jesus! Even in the midst of their pornonia. Come on, y'all, listen. Listen, there's got to be something more than that. Right? Right? There's got to be. Right? There has to be something that caused us to come out from among that to who we are now. Yahuah chose me from my mother's womb. He chose me from my mother's womb. I was born in sin and shapen in iniquity. And in sin, my mother conceived me. Not in fornication, right? Not in porneia. She conceived me because everyone that is born into the erects come through sin, because Adam and Yahuah has caused sin to enter into the erects. Therefore, we have been born in sin. But there was something that Yahuah saw in me. There was something that he recognized in me. There was things that he shielded me from. He saw me today. He saw me today. Knowing that my desire is to do his will, to cry loud, to spare not. Knowing my desire is not to fulfill the lust of my flesh. Knowing the desires of me is not to fulfill the desires of the mind, to pursue natural things that causes one to come under the dominion of those things. He knew that there was something in me. He knew that he would tabernacle. He knew he would tabernacle in me. He knew that I would receive this witness. He knew the water and the blood and the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. I would take this and let it be a part of me. He knew it. Even when I didn't know it. Even when I had my mishaps and struggles. Even when I got distracted. You know, he had to send a stroke to bring me back. He chose his temple. He chose to tabernacle here. I can't take that lightly. So Dawid said it this way. Yahuah, whatever I do, forgive me, but take not your Ruach Ha'Qodesh away from me. And he lost without it. He knew that I would hold fast to the profession of my faith. He knew that I would not stagger at his word through unbelief. He knew that I would be strong in emunah, being fully persuaded that what was written in the Torah, in the Besorah, was true. He said, I'm going to tabernacle with him. See, in order for me to get to that place, I had to recognize that I had sinned. I had to recognize that I needed a high priest. That's because I'm Hebrew. I had to recognize that I needed a high priest. I had to bring an offering. I had to understand that offerings could only be done, innocent offerings could only be done by a priest. And then that's just Yahuwah's order. And that had to be satisfied. But I had to know. Again, as a Hebrew, there was a way to do this. It's interesting at the time that I read the scriptures and I understood that I needed to be born again, right? And I understood that, you know, I need to be born again of the water and of the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. I just knew that there was something about this that I had to do. And I went in and I was baptized, and not too long after that at my house, I was like, look, Yahuah, I'm in your word. I know it says that, you know, you was going to give them the Ruach Ha'Qodesh on the day of Pentecost, and that's here and come and gone, which means that you have already fulfilled that promise. But Yahuah, I need this. Yahuah. In my room, I need this. I need you to come tabernacle. I need you to come live in me. I need you to take up residency. I need you to lead me. I need you to guide me. He did it. And in the fullness of time, in this awakening, this quickening, he has brought to pass that which he said. Right, because you know, look at Abraham, right? Abraham, when he was 70 years old, Yahuah told him, "You're the father of many nations. You're gonna be the father of many nations. Change your name. Change Sarah's name. Sarah is Sarah. Your name from Abraham to Abraham. You're gonna be the father of many nations." 70 years. 30 years later, he told Abraham, look, I want you to go to a land, territory, a city that is prepared for your place, for you and your seed. Abraham, who against hope believed in hope, that he would become the father of many nations according to that which was spoken, so shall your seed be. See, Abraham was like, look. Yahuah, you've tested me. You've tried me. And yet still I go without a son. We have Ishmael. Yahuah said, no. That's not who the promises were. I told you, you and Sarah were going to conceive. Abraham was 100 years old. I think Sarah was 90 years old. Sarah's womb was dead. No hope of ever bearing a child. And now she's old? Come on, man. 30 years. Abraham produced Ishmael. Who produced Yaakov? 30 plus years. I've been on this journey since I was a young man. I've had my trials. I've had plenty of victories. I've suffered some defeats. I made some bad decisions. I didn't totally understand what it meant to be led by the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, but I did my best. And now, having garnered all this experience and this level of intimacy with Yahuah, I understand now the importance of the tabernacle in me. Almost 60 years old. Still, I believe Yahuah. Yahuah demonstrated miracles before me. He used me to do miracles. Listen, I witnessed Yahuah's power. But I understand even now more so that you must truly be born again, the water of the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, to be his. Because he's always desired the tabernacle with us. He's always desired to manifest his presence before us. He wanted to abide in us. He made his presence he put his Ruach in Adam and Yahuah. He still made his manifested presence in the cool of the day. It's a beautiful time. having Yahuah tabernacle. But this sin entered. He could no longer tabernacle. Until there was a proper atonement. Until there was a proper method, right, of providing this atonement in order for you to come before his presence. He paved the way for a temporary method of atonement that would cover sin, but didn't do anything for sin consciousness. It didn't do anything for taking away the desire to sin. It just covered that, provided a covering over. Until Yahushua Mashiach. Yahuah brought his presence down to the tabernacle that he designed that he had man to pitch. This mobile place where Yahuah would come and visit them. But he never wanted to just show up in a tent on a day of atonement. He wanted to be present with us always, like it was in the beginning. Like it was with the diamond of fire. Yahuah has always desired to want us to experience his presence. Listen. I'll be willing to cause these blessings to come upon you and overtake you. Because you're my people. Because I have chosen you. I've given a promise to Avraham, your second, your gold. You my people. I brought you under my atonement. All the rest of these other nations, they make atonements to other elves. They sacrifice innocent flesh. They sacrifice on behalf of these elves. But you serve and atone to the living Yahuah. And because you do, I'm going to bless you. But all you gotta do is keep my Torah. All you got to do is walk in my statutes, obey my ordinances, and keep my commandments. And then I will bless you. But the reverse is if you don't keep making these atonements, if you don't keep seeking to keep my Torah, if you don't seek to keep obeying my word, then all these curses. And they're going to visit the fathers and to the children, to the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. And you hate me because you don't keep my Torah. Man say he loved me, walking disobedience to me. True love is demonstrated in obeying Torah. They had consciousness of sin. Yahuah didn't just put his Ruach in everybody. Much like now, he don't put his Ruach in everybody. You got to come by way of this atonement. And then you have to ask him to give you his Ruach Ha'Qodesh. And then he'll give it to you. But you got to come under the water. Got to come under the water. Got to come under the blood. See, the objective is to have Yahuah's presence on the inside of you. Because see, that's what's going to recommend you. Right. That's what's going to cause you to see the kingdom. That's what's going to cause you to enter into the kingdom. You gotta be born again of the water and of the Ruach. You got to receive this witness. You got come through Yahushua HaMashiach. This temple has to come under the atonement of Yahushua HaMashiach. And it has to maintain itself. Listen. Just because you've received the Ruach Ha'Qodesh don't mean it's, at the end of the day, you ain't gonna have to battle the flesh, the mind. It does not mean that you're not going to, but you're gonna have everything you need to get the victory. Listen. They were made from the dust of the earth, and Yahuah breathed his Ruach in him. They didn't even know wrong. See, but Hasatan knew that he had to convert them. He had to convert them over to the side of knowing good and evil. He had to bring them under the dominion of death. He had to make them subject to him. They yielded it over. See, but we've been through faith in Mashiach, washed clean from all sin. Yahuah has taken our sin and cleansed us. We've become a vessel swept and clean and garnished. Now we can have Yahuah's Ruach come and live in us. Yahuah can tabernacle. Listen, that's why you don't need anybody to teach you anything, because I'm tabernacling in you. It doesn't mean that I don't have mores and morals and emas and elders that can teach you a word. I'm telling you, you don't have to rely on yourself and someone else. You could rely on the Ruach Ha'Qodesh of truth in me that's in you. There was a post, right? There was a post, right? Buying a coatee, right? Yahuah. Yahuah. I hope I'm getting it right. The beloved of Iob. Let it rock. She said, Yahuah told us we would need the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Right? He told us we would need it. Yahushua, don't go nowhere. You wait until you receive the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Yahuah told us we would need the Ruach Ha'Qodesh and to discern. So literally, we would need the Ruach Ha'Qodesh in order to properly discern. Right? Because the Ruach Ha'Qodesh is the revealer of truth. The Ruach Ha'Qodesh is the Torah of truth. But the Ruach Ha'Qodesh will reveal truth. You see, common sense also plays a role, and stop listening to others that really aren't for you, especially if they are void of the Ruach. Listen. That's why you have to understand the necessity, right, of the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. You can't teach me nothing without the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. can't teach nothing. Actually, you ain't qualified to teach nothing. You can teach what you know, right? But at the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, what you know is not necessarily Ruach. You can teach what you know. I'm talking about Hebraic, Torah, and Basora kind of things. You could teach me auto mechanics, right? Because I don't know nothing about being an auto mechanic. And you, by your experience in auto mechanics, you could teach me. You could teach me auto mechanics, right? I'm qualifying this now because I know some of y'all gonna say, "Well, what you mean you can't teach me nothing?" Well, what about this? What about that? Yeah, if I don't have a knowledge, right, of something that requires natural understanding, right? I mean, it takes a certain natural discernment to be an auto mechanic. It takes a natural discernment to be a motorcycle mechanic. It takes a natural discernment to understand how to do carpentry. Yeah, you could teach me that, right? But when it comes to this Basora and this Torah truth, as a Hebrew, having followed the witness of Yahushua Mashiach, and who needs to be able to properly discern what is being spoken of in reference to Torah, and even the advice of people who are supposedly awakened, or who are supposedly in this awakening, right? I gotta have a Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Seeing if I got the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, you ain't gonna be able to teach me nothing that's gonna cause me to stumble. See, because you know the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, you could go to talking, and it may sound good for a minute, but then all I get is that little leaven. That's the whole lump. That little error. You know, that's why, you know, when people on Facebook, you know, in the awakening, you know, and you got Brews and Gentiles, right, strangers that have accepted this witness. They got their own ideas about certain things, and they say things, and they post things, but they ain't Ruach. It sounds good to them, so they say it. But it's got nothing to do with the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Sounds good. But it's not Ruach. See, and you know, that's why, you know, even when I post, you know, I make sure that it's the Ruach Ha'Qodesh leading me. See, and sometimes there's some things that I see people say that, right, and I want to send a word of correction, and you will say, no, don't waste your time. Don't waste your time, because they're going to get offended. Because they think what they said was good. But it ain't the Ruach's motivation. It's not motivated by the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. It's not inspired by the Ruach of Yahuah. Right? So, you know, you got a lot of people, you know, they think they really born again. And some of them don't even think they born again. Some of them don't even ascribe to the witness of Yahushua Mashiach. Some of them still ascribing to Jesus, saying there's nothing wrong with the name Jesus. And I don't reveal to you facts, but see, you done drank the blood, you done had the wafer or the cracker. You've reaffirmed that covenant with him over and over and over again. Get offended because somebody gives you the truth. I don't say nothing to him. Can't teach me nothing. In this book, without the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Now, in this book with the Ruach Ha'Qodesh and this Basora and this Torah of truth, if you got the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, I'm all ears open. Listen, my young hawk, Yaakov ben Zion got all, man. You know, Shabbats, You know, I'm always ready, right? Because, you know, that's just me. You always got a word in me. Yeah, you always got a word, right? For me, I'm always going to be able to give a word, right? But, you know, I always give my Aki an opportunity to go forth, you know? You know, I ain't a terror of good works. Listen, I don't care about that. You know, besides, you know, I know he got the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. And he got a word. So, listen, I'm all ears. I'm all ears. Right? And he delivers the word. The Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Boy, I'm telling you, sometimes, what? Just opens up stuff for me. Just opens up. This is where he opens up, right? Anointed. With the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Anointed. He can teach me anything. Oh, yeah. But he's humble. He respects my eldership. Ruach Ha'Qodesh. You have to understand that the Ruach Ha'Qodesh of Yahuah is Yahuah in you. It's Yahuah tabernacling in you, right? It's Yahuah setting up his residency in you. Yahuah making his abode in you. See, Yahuah had to bring his presence before his people because he wanted his people to know who he was. And he wanted his people to understand that it was him that is going to provide this atonement. So he showed up in the temple. He showed up in the tabernacle. He consumed the offerings. He got one point where Most High got to talking from the mountain. People like, look, we don't want to hear him no more. We don't want to hear we don't want to hear the voice of Yahuah no more. Just you go ahead and you just speak to us, Moshe. See, because that's what sin consciousness does. See, the sin consciousness recognizes the filthiness of itself, right? And even after you've washed, because of the consciousness of sin remaining and continuing and dwelling in you, you know, you in this constant perpetual state of, you know. See, when we who have received the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach, doesn't mean that we come and stand before his presence and don't bow to his glory and his honor. But you know what, right? There's a place that we are in him that gives us this refreshing, rewarding knowing that, you know, our sins are forgiven and cleansed and that he dwells in us, right? He dwells in us. So Yahuwah went to great lengths to give us this tabernacle. Excuse me. He's gone through great lengths. To the point in which he was willing to allow Yahushua Mashiach, his son, his salvation, to be the atonement. And see, you know, listen, I recognize Yahuwah is giving me his Ruach Ha'Qodesh. I recognize that he put his Ruach in me. I recognize that comes with a degree of responsibility, right? And you know what? I'm going to tell you something. You better understand that in this Ruach Ha'Qodesh, right, him giving it to you, you better understand what price was paid and understand that it's given to you for a purpose. Feast of dedication. Judas Maccabees. Three brothers. There was Simeon, there was Jonathan, and there was Judas. 7. Anyway, Maccabee brothers. Their father, Mattithyahu, was enraged and was overcome with zeal when he went into Jerusalem and came upon the temple and these wicked heathens that were trying to force the people to offer up pigs on the sacrifices. I told Mattithyahu, listen, you know, you're a man of reputation. You could be the king's friend. All you got to do is lead off. Yeah, you go first, and you do the sacrifice, and then all the people will follow you. Mattithyahu said, oh no. And about that time, there was a brew coming up with his pig, offering it on the altar. Mattithyahu became enraged and ran up and slew him on the altar of you, on the altar that had become defiled. And then this nobleman, this person that was sent to make sure that the people were all sacrificing in accordance with the king's decree. Greece, making sure that they were offering sacrifices. They were defiling the temples. They were not keeping the Torah. They were doing everything that was against Torah. And then Mattithyahu and his zeal slew him too. Hence the beginning of the Maccabean revolt. Taking back what is theirs, right? Recognizing that the temple was dedicated unto Yahuah, but they profaned it. You know, because you had them Hebrews that were, under Antiochus. You wanted to be Hellenized. We want to be like the Greeks. We want to serve the same Greek gods. We want to do the Greek temple exercises, the arenas, all that profanity that the Greeks did. We want to do that. We want to build our own arena, our own gymnasium, where we can wrestle around butt naked like all the rest of the Greeks do. We can get in with that perversion like they do. Drew many of the Hebrews away. At the time that the Maccabees came up, the temple had fell. Ezra and all the work that they did. See, that's why Yahuah does not dwell in temples made with man's hands. See, that's why he had to demonstrate through Yahushua HaMashiach what it looked like to be the walking, breathing, living temple of Yahuah with all power in the Shalom. See, because sin consciousness, it was inevitable that all the work that Ezra and everyone else did, it would come to naught. Because you've got these wicked Hebrews. One generation of righteousness goes up, maybe two, then the third becomes wicked again, because that sin consciousness could not be completely eliminated. They could not choose not to sin. Really, it's because of the sin nature, Now, in the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach, having received the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, you don't have to sin. Right? You don't have to sin. You know, confronted with the idea of a sin, you don't have to sin. You don't have to yield to that. You know, your righteousness because of Yahuah. Temple became defiled time and time again. Finally got to the point where the Maccabees came in and dedicated the temple. You know, and I was a Facebook post talking about how Yahushua did not honor the feast of dedication. What? Oh, because he was on Solomon's porch. What? Yahushua observed and respected the feast of dedication because of what it represented. It represented the zeal of the temple. It represented them setting in order and cleaning out the defiledness of it. You know. See, you gotta understand Hebraic culture. Right, you can't apply European culture in the understanding of this, right? Because these boys were zealous at cleaning the temple, and they established a day that commemorated the restoration of the temple. Yeah, you don't think Yahuah honored that? You don't think Yahushua should honor that? I'm telling you, man, listen. Hey, you better have a Ruach Ha'Qodesh because people say things, man, and you'd be like, what are you talking about? Well, I mean, where would you get that? Well, all it says is that he was at the temple. He was at Solomon's porch. But by virtue of the fact that they mentioned the time where he was and what he was doing during that time, he's preaching and teaching. Yahushua would honor that because Yahushua knew that he was the temple of Yahuah in the Eretz. Oh, man, I'm telling you, man, listen. You better have the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, man. You better have the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, right? You better have the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Some people be just saying stuff because it sounds good to them. It sounds good to them. You know, we ain't celebrating Hanukkah. We Hebrews. We celebrating the putting down of the wickedness of these wicked Gentiles, heathens, that came in and caused our temples to be defiled. Right? That's what we worship. It ain't no Hanukkah candlesticks with no 12 thing menorah. Get out of here with that. I'm telling you, this is a Hebraic culture. You better understand it before you start talking about it. You better understand it, and you really won't be able to understand it to the degree it is because you ain't Hebraic. It don't flow in your blood like that. It's all right to be grafted in. It's all right to be grafted in. It is. It's all right. It's a good thing. You're still in the family of you, but don't minimize it. Don't think you can explain out what Yahushua, Yah salvation, would do as he is in the Eretz and he's talking about, he's preaching and teaching. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. In the name of Yahushua Mashiach, I pull that from me. That I'm not sorry. I'm not. This is a Hebraic culture, right? A culture that was based on the premise of atonement. We had priests. We offered sacrifices. They atoned before Yahuah on behalf of us, right? This born-again experience is all about an atonement. It's about Yahuah coming and tabernacling in you. Right? So the temple was profane on many occasions. The abomination of desolation was the profaning of the temple. It occurred before Yahushua Mashiach. It happened a couple times. The Maccabees established an 8-day feast because they were able to restore the temple back to its sacrifices and offering. And you know what? You know, it didn't last long. I mean, it lasted maybe a couple hundred years, but at the time Yahushua Mashiach came in, you had them diabolical priests, right? The priests that were ordering the death of their own people. Cut a covenant with Rome. They cut a covenant with Rome. Judas Maccabees made agreement with Rome, and Rome agreed to protect them. Anybody come up against them, they'd be like coming up against them. But, you know, they put this clause in the contract saying, well, you know, anyone at any time has a right to amend this. Right? They set up their puppets. They put up their puppet leaders and priests and kings, these Edomites, these Esau converts. These wicked, sinister, diabolical priests. That's why Yahushua said, before me, all have been thieves and robbers. What was he saying? He said the priesthood was perpetually in a state of wickedness. I've come to bring salvation. I've come to give eternal life. They've all come to take it. Right? So the temple was rededicated. And then it fell again into the hands of the wicked Jews. They didn't even like Judas Maccabees. Wanted to turn them over to the Roman government. They didn't like them. So, Yahushua comes on the scene. Yah salvation. Baptized by Yahuah, filled with Yahuah's Ruach Ha'Qodesh without measure, as a high priest anointed of Yahuah. Yahuah poured the oil of the Ruach Ha'Qodesh on him, and he came up out of the water. Right? Scripture text after that says that he was tempted of Hasatan 40 days. Right? I don't think Yukonon picks it up. I think it's in Mark or it's in Matthew, what he's picked up. Overcoming Hasatan in the Eretz, withstanding every temptation that he brought to him. Coming down victorious. Having all power in the Shamayim and in the Eretz. See, Yahushua was the temple of Yahuah in the earth. He is what Adam looked like before he sinned. That's why he's the second Adam. He operated in the Eretz with all power in the Shamayim. He did. He could do everything Adam could have done in the garden. Yahushua Mashiach. He was that temple. Right? And any man come into his temple, come unto him, to receive his Torah, who would come with a repentant heart, who would come to him as one who recognizes his need to be cleansed from all guiltiness and sin and filth, have his consciousness washed clean, who receive Yahushua's blood as an atonement, receive Yahushua as his high priest. He prayed. They can receive the witness in its entirety. He can receive the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, which is the filling of the presence of you. It's the baptism of you on the inside of you. Yeshua taking up residency in you for the purpose of being witnesses to his physical tabernacle in you in the earth. Listen, you have to understand what it is to have Yahuwah's tabernacle on the inside of you, right? Let's go to 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians, the 3rd chapter. Shaul is dealing with a people, Gentile in nature, right, whose customs and practices were non-Hebraic. Everything they did, everything they grew up in, everything they understood had nothing to do with Yahuah. It had everything to do with temple worship and Diana, temple prostitution, temple whoremongering, right? All of that is what they come from, right? That's what they understood as worship. That's what they deemed as worship. They offered up sacrifices, right? Let's do this. I gotta get rid of this verify. They always want to verify when I use Google. What? All right, so the gods of the Corinthians. Let's look at this. The ancient Greek gods, right? Right. The Greek gods of Athens, of Athena, Apollos, Poseidon, not Poseidon, Hermes, Isis, right? Seraphis, and a bunch of others, right? So these are the elves that they worshipped, right? Now let's look at Athena, right? Let's look at Athena, right? Let's look at Athena, right? All right, let's look at Athena. Okay. Athena is associated with the city of Athens and the name of the city in ancient Greek, right? A plural, a bunch of stuff that don't necessarily make sense. But testimonies from different cities in Greece attest to the city's goddess were worshipped in other cities. Athena took their name from the cities that they worshipped. Right. Okay. Let me see what was her thing. Athena was originally a Athenian goddess of the palace who presided over household crafts and protected the king. Prescription. Okay. Athena was venerated as the goddess of the cities and the protectress of the citadel. In Athena, a feast of the bath was observed every year at the end of the month of the Gileon, right? The festival lasted for 5 days. During this period, the priestess of Athens, right, performed a cleansing ritual within the sanctuary devoted to Athena and Poseidon, right? Right? She was also, she was also the patron and metal worker, I believe, to forge weapons, Athena represented disciplined strategic warfare. The patron was violent, bloodthirsty slaughterer. Here, Athena's statue was undressed, she clothes washed, and body purified. Right? Anywho. That's just one of the gods. So my point is this, right? The Corinthians had no understanding of Torah. Neither were they familiar with or acquainted with the Yahuah of the Yasharal and Yahudah, right? The Hebraic Elohim, right? right? See, and this again, all of these other nations, they served Els. They were blood drinkers, right? They shed innocent blood. They had no right to offer any kind of atonements, right? But they had their feasts and their festivals. They had their feast and their festivals, right? They had their feast and their festivals, right? Now Shaul, when he's dealing with these Corinthians, he understands that, he has spent time teaching them Torah, but they have a whole lifelong history of idol worship, right? See, as Hebrews, all we knew was the living Yahuwah. Now, when we were robbed and spoiled, and they took us from our continent to land, and they scattered us throughout the four corners of the earth, we of course assimilated into this pagan religion of Christianity, right? And that's what we knew, right? And the pagan Christianity has taken the Torah and taken the Basora and established the whole religion on it. Established the whole religion on it. They're gonna tell you don't even have to worry about the old covenant, because that's not a way of it. Right? They established a whole new religion on a renewed covenant that was the fulfillment of the original covenant, and told you to believe that that's been done away with. Right? So the only thing you need to understand is Jesus. See, you're talking to a people, right, who had no knowledge of Yahuwah. Nothing in their customs or their traditions reflected it. Yahuwah says Yaakov is the people that he has known, or the people that is known of him, the people that he entered into a contract with, a covenant with, an agreement with. The nations were as spittle to him because they were blood drinkers. Because they served other Els. They offered innocent blood to other Els. They sacrificed children. They did all of these profane things, right? But Yahuwah was like, okay, I'm going to pull from them. Because you know what? You profaned his name before them. You did things that were even more diabolical than they do. 1 Corinthians, the 3rd chapter. Paul says, brethren, I could not speak unto you as spiritual, but as unto carnal, even as babes unto Mashiach. Listen, you need to understand that, right? You still moving like babies, right? You still moving like babies. I can't deal with you as mature men and women of Yahuwah, because you're still doing baby stuff. He says, I have fed you with milk and not with meat, for hitherto you have not been able to bear it, neither are you able now. You ain't even be able to, you can't even bear the deep things of the Torah. You can't grasp the idea of Yahushua HaMashiach being that high priest after the order of Melchizedek. You can't grasp the idea that he is king and priest. You can't grasp the deep things of Yahuwah. I want to teach them to you, but you can't get it because you're still messing around. I fed you milk hitherto, thereto you were not able to bear it, and neither are you able now. He says, for you are yet carnal. You act carnal. What is to be carnal? It's not to be transformed in your mind, to be fleshly, right? To be fleshly in your mind, in your thoughts. You're carnal. You're fleshly. You ain't even developing in the Ruach of truth. You're still running around here, you're not even developing yourselves in what I have taught you. You still act like babies. Grown babies on milk, right? He said, ye are yet carnal. For whereas there are envy and strifes and divisions, are ye not carnal, walking as men? You all caught up in divisions. I'm of this assembly. I'm of that assembly. You know, I believe this. They believe that. We don't want nothing to do with them. We have our own groups. We have our... It's carnal. It's just... It's the awakening too. Carnal. Right? Right? For a while, one says, I am of Paul, I'm of Apollos, and then he goes down into this whole understanding of what this carnality is, right? See, because if you're being transformed in the renewing of your mind, right, then these things ain't gonna matter to you, right? These things ain't gonna be stumbling blocks to you, right? These things ain't gonna cause you to be split and separated, right? Right? Yahuah says down in that 11th verse, for the foundation, for another foundation can no man lay than that which was laid in Yahushua HaMashiach. At the end of the day, it's the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach, and it's him that has laid this foundation. Right? Everything and anything everybody does as a result of the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach is built upon that. Right? And everybody's going to have their role. Everybody's got something to play, right? He says, now, in verse 12, now, if any man build upon this foundation gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, stubble, every man's work shall be made manifest. Whatever you're able to do and contribute in this witness, it's going to be manifested, right? Right? Whatever you do to advance this witness, it's going to be manifested, right? For every man's work is manifested, for the day shall declare it, because it shall reveal it by fire. Listen. Whatever you've done, right? If it's gold and silver, it's going to be bought under heat, right? If you burn gold and silver, you get the dross off, and you get a more pure, refined product, right? 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 Stones are precious. Right? Right? But wood, hay, and stubble, that stuff is going to burn up. The work that you do, right? If you work and your end result is gold and silver, someone receives that message. Right? And having received that message, that gold, that silver now becomes purified, right? That stone becomes more precious, right? But you know, if you build upon Yahushua HaMashiach's witness and all you dealing with is hay and stubble, well, that's going to be burnt up. He says, if any man work abideth, which he hath built thereon, he shall be rewarded. You're going to be rewarded for the work that you do and how that work has produced fruit in others. He says, and if any man's work shall be burned, he shall suffer loss, right? He shall suffer loss, right? But he himself shall be saved, yet as by fire. Why? Because you gold or silver yourself. You're ministering to people that maybe just hay and stubble, right? They gonna get burned up because they ain't gonna get the message, right? But you doing the work, you being tested with fire, you gonna last, you gonna be around, right? He said, listen, know ye not that ye are the dwelling place of Elohiym, right? You are the temple of Yahuah, and that the Ruach Ha'Qodesh dwells in you. How does that occur? You tell people, you are the temple of Yahuah. Well, how did I get to become the temple? You were baptized with the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Because upon the time that the Ruach Ha'Qodesh enters into you, you now become that dwelling place where Yahuah, by his Ruach Ha'Qodesh, abides. That's where everything else is going to burn up. You know, listen, right? Every message that I've delivered on the YouTube, right? Every message that I've put on Facebook, every message, right? I put on the Torah of Truth. Every message, right, is designed to produce fruit. It's designed to bring an end result. It's going to be proved by fire. It's going to be proven by fire. I'm in the Temple of Yahuah. Right? It's going to be proven by fire. The word that has went forth that you hear, right, which you become accountable for, a word is going to prove you by fire. The word of Yahuah comes to prove you. Right? I'm doing what Yahuah tell me to do, but I'm going to go through the fire too. Because I'm going to be giving you the word, and I'm going to be suffering as well. Yahushua was the temple of Yahuah. Yahushua said, listen, think it not strange when you go through the fire. It's designed to test your resolve. It's designed to test your resolve. Right? Last year this time, right, out of the blue, right, I got hit with, what's that called again? Shingles. Right? Shingles. All here. Around right here. Close to my eye. Eyelid. Listen. I don't want shingles on my enemy. Oh no. That pain was tormenting. And it was agonizing. Couldn't get no rest. I had all coaty. She tells me, Elder, you need to take dominion over that. You need to take authority over that in the name of Yahushua Mashiach. Right? 4 or 5 days in. Right? I just went off. Went off on us time. Loud in my house, just binding and rebuking them. I just went off. That night I laid down and went to sleep like a baby. First time. And each day it got gradually lighter. Right? Right? It's going through the fire. You know what that agony, it was hard to focus. I couldn't read. I mean, I couldn't hardly read. Couldn't hardly do anything. I mean, fire. Yahuah told me this too will pass. It's necessary. It's necessary. Yahuah had me go through that because it was necessary. See, I'm the temple of Yahuah. His body suffered a physical attack. Yahuah, let me go through it. I was like, what have I done? Yahuah, what have I done? He said, nothing. This too will pass. This is that fire. This is that heat. He said, know ye not that you are the temple of Elohiym, and that the Ruach Ha'Qodesh of Elohiym dwells in you? How? By his Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Because you have asked for that baptism. Just like you asked to go into the water. This is how you asked for Yahushua to forgive you of your sins. Just like you asked to receive the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. And when you do, Yahuah comes and lives within you. Take up his residency in you. Because now he can. Because, you've been swept and clean. Your temple is garnished. Right? He says, listen. If any man defiles the temple of Yahuah, him shall Yahuah destroy, for the temple of Yahuah is holy, and you which ye are. So you are Yahuah's temple. You holy. Okay? Right? See, and the Corinthians, they worship, man. They worship elves, man. They worship these porno neo elves. Corinthians was wide open, y'all. Just going to them temples. Have a relationship with them temple harlots and prostitutes. If a man defiles the temple of Yahuah, because see, you are now his because you are one flesh with him. Yahuah is in you, right? If you join your body to a harlot, if any man defiles the temple of Elohiym, him shall Elohiym destroy, for the temple of Elohiym is holy. It's Kodesh. It is set apart. It's sanctified, right? Which temple ye are. Let no man deceive himself. If any man among you seemeth to be wise in this world, let him become a fool that he should be wise. Right? Let's look at another scripture. Right? Let's go to Corinthians, the 6th chapter. Right? Right? He says here, all things are lawful unto me, 6th chapter, the 12th verse. All things are lawful unto me, but all things are not expedient. So all things are lawful, right? Because I keep Torah, right? All things are lawful for me, but I will not be brought under the power of anything. I will not let anything rule this temple. It's lawful for me to drink wine. But I wouldn't let the wine control me and become an alcoholic. It's lawful for me to eat meat. But I won't eat meat to the point where I become gluttonous. Or I relish and worship what I do when I eat. So I said, all things are lawful for me. Right? Right? Because I'm not under bondage to anything. My sex has made me free. From sin that caused me to perpetually break Torah that kept me in bondage. All things are not expedient. it's not necessarily expedient. I mean, it's not going to move me in. Matter of fact, let's look at this. Let's look at that word expedient. Let's look at that word expedient. All things are lawful. All things are not expedient. What does the word expedient mean? Right? In the Greek.
Strong's G 4851. Sumfero.
Symphero.
Sumfero.
Symphero. Right? To bear, to bring together, to bear together, or at the same time to be carried away with. I ain't gonna be carried away with wine. I ain't gonna be carried away with nothing. I am not going to let nothing carry me away. Because he's made me free, right? I will not allow anything to carry me away, right? All things are lawful for me, but I will not be brought under the power of any. I'm not going to let that thing that's lawful for me dictate to me. He said, meat for the belly and belly for meat, but Yahuah shall destroy them both. Yahuah shall destroy both it and them. So it's a whole discussion about eating meat offered to idols. I said, what's an idol to me? It ain't nothing. Shoot. You offer that animal on sacrifice, and I happen to want some lamb chops. I take the lambs and chops, because what is it to me? That idol ain't nothing. There's only one true living Yahuah, right? And that's good meat. Hello, right? He says, but I will not be without power. Meat for the belly and belly for meat, but Yahuah will destroy them all. At the end of the day, he'll destroy me and meat. Right? Right? Now the body is not for fornication. No. This is a whole different issue now. Right? See, the body is the temple of Yahuah. Right? So, the Corinthians obviously had a problem with pornography. Boss, I had to talk to y'all like carnal, cause y'all just do whatever you think. Y'all don't renew. You ain't renewing your minds. He said the body is not for porneia or porneia.
Strong's G 4202. Porneia.
So the body ain't for porneia.
Porneia.
It's not for illicit sexual intercourse, right? Because you're the temple, right? That illicit sexual intercourse takes the form of adultery, fornication, homosexuality, lesbianism, intercourse with animals, sexual intercourse with close relatives, sexual intercourse with a divorced man or a divorced woman, right? It's also the worship of idols. That is spiritual fornication. The body ain't for that. Why? Why can't I just? Why can't I just? Why? He said, now the body's not for edification, but it's for Yahuah. Right? Because your body is now the house, the dwelling place, the tabernacle, the temple of Yahuah. As the tabernacle, you move to and fro, presenting Yahuah's witness. As the temple, you're just that stationary place that you and Yahuah are. See, tabernacle, you'll pick up and move. Tabernacles are mobile. He said, now the body's not for fornication, but Yahuah. And Yahuah is for the body. So when I step into this born again experience, right? And I am now born again of the water and of the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. And I now ask Yahuah to give me his Ruach Ha'Qodesh. He becomes the temple that I become the temple that he lives in. And because I'm the temple that he lives in, right? It's no longer a body made for fornication. See, now in your old nature, right? You were dead. You know, and you were used to fornication, right? Yeah, you used to fornication, look. If it was there, you know, you was making it happen, right? But in the witness of Yahushua Mashiach, things change, right? First of all, he swept you clean. You ain't the same. And the testament to that is that he's living in you, right? So though your body may look the same, it ain't the same with him. Because he swept you clean, you first asked him for the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, he's giving it to you, now you his. Right? Now you his, right? He says, and Yahuah have both raised up Adonai and will also raise you up by the power, by his own power. So Yahuah raised up, gave life to Yahushua's mortal body, right? By resurrecting him from the dead, him leaving with the keys of death and hell, right? Yahuah gave him life again. Yahuah also gave you life, right? You are now the temple of Yahuah, right? He says, know ye not that your bodies are members of Hamashiach, or his anointing, or his Ruach, or his power, or you are one with Hamashiach, right? Shall I take the member of Hamashiach, shall I take the member of Hamashiach and make the member of a harlot? Because your body is his body. Well, you know, man, she wasn't a harlot. Oh, what? Huh? She wasn't no prostitute, huh? Fool, didn't you just read did you hear Porno Neo 4202? If it's a divorced woman or divorced man, it's adultery. If it's a married man and a married woman, it's adultery. If it's a divorced man and a divorced woman, it's still sin. Still fornication. Don't matter whether or not they married or not. I ain't married to nobody. She ain't married, she divorced. Still fornication. Well, that brother, you know. I think I love him. Yeah, whatever. If you love him, you better get it right. You better get it right. You better get it right. Because who's going to judge you? See now, if you haven't been born again of the water and of the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, then this don't apply to you. If you haven't come through the water of Yahushua HaMashiach, if you haven't received the atonement blood of Yahushua HaMashiach, and if you haven't asked Yahuah to give you your Ruach Ha'Qodesh, this don't apply to you. But if you have, then you're the temple of Yahuah. You what Maccabees fought for in the natural temple. Yahushua fought for this in the Ruach, in the natural, and took the keys of death and hell from Hasatan. He did the battle. He did the fight. He did it. He says, know ye not that he which joins to a harlot is one body, and the two shall be one flesh? You literally taken Yahuwah's Ruach in you, and you joining it with a harlot. See, because that was the temple worship. That was all about temple worship. That was all about this is what the Gentiles were used to. He says, but he that joineth unto Yahuah is one Ruach. See, when we joined unto Yahuah, we became one Ruach Ha'Qodesh individual. And we're going to take the Ruach of Yahuah and join it, become one flesh with it, have sexual intercourse with it, right? Make a deposit into death. He said, flee fornication, flee porneia. Every sin that a man doeth is without the body, but he that committed fornication sinneth against his own flesh. And what did we hear Yahuah say about that? Yahuah said, he said, if any man defiles the temple of Elohiym, him shall Elohiym destroy. You defile the temple of Yahuah, Yahuah will destroy you. You become one flesh with a harlot. You become one flesh with a woman that's married. You become one flesh with a woman that's divorced. You become one flesh with a man that's married. You become one flesh with a man that's divorced. You become one flesh with a man that ain't never been married. It's still porneia. Let alone a homosexual. Let alone a lesbian. Let alone an animal. Let alone a close relative. You're uncovering your father's nakedness. Uncovering your mother's nakedness. Stepmother, stepfather. It don't matter. Step family. Step sister, brother. It's nakedness. He says, for the temple of Elohiym is Kodesh, which temple ye are. Right? Which temple ye are. And he says, he says, dying, kill, evil, suffering, long labor, tumults. No, that's not where I was at. Yeah, that was where I was at. That's where I was at. Okay. It says, know ye not that he was joined unto a harlot is one body, the two shall be one flesh, but he that joineth unto Yahuah is one Ruach. Flee fornication, run from it. Every sin a man doeth is without the body. See, every time you commit fornication, you're going to be destroyed. But he that committed fornication sinned against his own body. You sin against your own body. Right? You know, because, you know, the temple of Yahuah's Ruach leaves you. Yahuah ain't gonna occupy you, put your member in somebody like that. He gone. He gone. Matter of fact, he gone when he know you done made up your mind to get this thing done. What know ye not that your body is the temple of Elohiym, the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, in you which ye have of Elohiym, and you are not your own? Ye are bought with a price. Therefore glorify Yahuah in your body and in your Ruach, which is Yahuah's. You're the temple of Yahuah. You're the dwelling place of Yahuah. You're the dwelling place of Yahuah Elohiym. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, that means that we have to honor, reverence, and respect this temple of Yahuah. Right? Listen, Judas Maccabees and his brothers went in under his father's Matthias authority and did damage to those who had defiled the temple of Yahuah. Destroyed them. I would share with you the point where, it first came in, and him and the brothers was in Jerusalem, and this religious, not this religious, but this heathen person, general, captain, was come over the area to make sure the people was offering these abominable sacrifices. And he wanted Matthias or Matthias. Anyway, his name was Matthew. So anyway, y'all know what I mean, right? He was like, oh no, he was like, all we need you to do is just go. You be the first partakers, and then everybody will follow you, and you'll be the king's friend. He said, I ain't gonna do that. And as he was speaking, here comes this Hebrew walking up to the altar with his swine flesh. And Matthias got so angry with zeal, he went in and killed him. Threw him on the altar. And then he went and killed the heathen. It was set over it. Right? It's the zeal. He had zeal for the temple of Yahuah. Right? Yahuah has zeal for his temple. And if you defile it, he's going to destroy you. Man, that's all I have right now. Yahuah, I pray right now in the name of Yahushua Mashiach, the words you've given me to give to them, that they would keep it, that they would receive it, that it would be life and peace to them, medicine to their flesh. I pray, Yahuah, that it would not cause anyone again to stumble or be turned out of the way. Yahuah, my desire is to do your will. My desire is to cry loud in the spirit, not to lift up my voice like a trump in Zion, to declare your word to your people. Yahuah, this is what you have called me to do. This is my mission, my assignment. You've called me to produce fruit. You said I may produce gold, silver, precious stone, and for some, hay and stubble and wood. Because there's just some stuff that people ain't going to get, they ain't going to receive, and at the end of the day, they're going to be burnt up. Yahuah, I pray right now in the name of Yahushua Mashiach that everything that I do would be pleasing in your eyes, and that it will lead to rewards in the name of Yahushua Mashiach. Everybody's under the sound of my voice, I pray that this word will quicken in them, be made alive in them. And I give you praise in the name of Yahushua Mashiach. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, called to greatness, woman of Yahuah, beautifully and wonderfully made today, Yahuah has favored you. Listen, trust in the Most High. Depend only on Him. Allow His witness to be everything to you, right? Because you're the temple. You're the temple. You're the temple. And listen, again, Yahushua HaMashiach, right? He did observe Feast of Dedication. He didn't observe no Hanukkah and no 12-point menorah. He honored the dedication and the zeal to see that the kingdom was put in order righteously. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, with that I say, listen, shalom, 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 man, be blessed.
Torah guardian, speaking the absolute truth. Torah nation.